Hi, I'm Chanda Tresvant, as known as the Japanese chick, as like an alter ego social media name. And I was born and raised in California, but the Valley. I'm a singer. I'm a model. I was mostly like in a lot of you guys' favorite artists' music videos: Nipsey Hussle, YG, Young Dolphs. There's one rapper named Father. Too Short's artist Decades. Soulja Boy's artists, and many others that you guys may know, like underground and major artists that you could look up. Japanese chick was my friend called me that at work, and when I first made my Instagram, I didn't want people to know my real name was Chanda because a lot of people didn't know how to pronounce it. They would say like Chandra. So on Instagram, when Instagram first started, I just put the Japanese chick. And I guess, today's where everybody call each other by their Instagram names. So people just started calling me that even before I started doing music. So when I did music, people called me that in person, so I just ran with it. I rap and sing. So like when I started going to the studio, I started like when I was writing or listening to the beats that producers would play me, a lot of the beats that I would choose was like rap beats. And for some reason, like when I was writing, I just like I felt like I was writing about my life, and it was more hardcore like a rapper. So that's what let out in the studio, me rapping. I went in as a singer though. Rapping, I feel like you gotta put more energy into it than singing, because singing for me always came naturally. Not no arrogant, no nothing. It just always came naturally because I grew up singing. I started rapping when I was like in high school, like the end of high school, and so like rapping like is a good way to express things that I can't talk about. I feel like singing is like more softer and it's calm, and I feel like rapping is like something I express things that I went through. I feel like I could talk about more things in rapping, and it's more energy. My biggest influences was pretty much everybody like in the 90s. Lauryn Hill is one of them, Tupac is one of them, Biggie Smalls is one of them, and Whitney Houston is one of them. Lauryn Hill because she does both, like I do both. She sing and rap. And when I first started singing, like, I would watch my dad. I grew up listening to the Fugees because my dad would play it all the time, their album. So, like, my first song when I first, like, was practicing my singing voice, like I said, I started off wanting to be a singer, like, before rapping, like, before I even started recording. So I grew up singing. So, like, when I seen that she rapped and sang, I thought that was just so dope. And people like loved it, and I thought it was different. And both her rapping and singing was like on point, and she was so talented. So I was like, that's what I want to do. I feel like my message is just things that I go through, and there's other girls that go through the same thing, so they could relate to what I'm going through. And like I said in my song, my messages in my songs are good if you listen. Like when you really listen to them, like, don't look at me. Everyone got a hater out there that looks at them, follows them on social media, but claim they don't like them and talks about them. So that's why I said, don't look at me. If you don't like me, don't look at me. Hold your head down. And my song, Don't Understand is just talking about, don't understand is just liking the finer things. Like if you're gonna live, if you broke, then what you living for? And it means that don't just live on earth and just sit on your butt and sit and be lazy. Just go out there and get something and enjoy life. You know what? My first radio interview ever, I was told that by the radio station. When I told him I rapped and singing, he said you can't do both. So that is true. Because like I said, Lauryn Hill was one of my influences. I watched her do it. She literally rapped and sang, so it's like, and she was in a group. She was in Sister Act. She did movies, acting. She, yeah, so it's like, why can't I do it? It's all been done before. How come it can't be done again? That don't, like, people, I've heard that before, but it's just ignorance. I feel like that's negative. It's multi-talented people out here. Let's show it all. Look at Dre. He was an actor. Sing and he rapped too. But before I started putting out music, like 2 years ago, I was told I couldn't do it. My first radio interview, I had put out one song and he said, I got there and he told me, he said, you can't rap person, you have to choose one. And I just kept going. The females taking over right now is, we needed that because it was too male dominated. And so me being a female, me trying to get recorded, it was hard because I'll walk inside a studio and it was only males in there. And so they will only agree to record me just so when I show up, they wanted other interests. And so that's when I was like, it needs to be more female producers, more females owning recording studios. Because it's so many of my homegirls and girls I know that wanted to do music too, and they stopped because they told me they BS when I showed up to the studio. And I'm like, shoot, I didn't let it stop me though. I kept going. Because I know it's going to be someone out there that's going to believe in you. And when you put out that one song, it's going to be more people taking you seriously. So that's just some advice. Like, you got to keep going. And I love the female domination. We needed that. We needed that. We need some more. We need some more females owning like moguls and like record labels too. I feel like people is attracted to a look, first of all. And I feel like your image and your style is very important because that also what makes your personality in the music. Because a lot of people that's fans of other artists, they're attracted to also the way they're friends with them because they watch their interviews. They like the way they speak. Oh, I like that artist because they like the way they dress. Because I like Tupac because I like the way he dressed and I like the way he conducted himself. And I liked other stuff he stood for, not just because of his music. And that's why people love Nipsey Hussle because he stood for other stuff also. So, yeah, it's do sex sell? Yes, sometimes, but you definitely gotta have the full package. I don't think that should be the only thing you selling. If that makes sense. If you're just don't just live off just being a pretty face or showing your body, because you're not gonna work. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I don't like it at all. I do. I always felt like that. If you gonna be a public figure, as big as you are, use your voice for good. Use your voice for good. Like, if you gonna speak on interview, don't ignore the problems in the world, especially I feel like being African American. Like, use your talent for other things. Oh, it's totally different. The South, I feel like, is probably more supportive, I think. Is that wrong to say? Because for me to come from the West Coast, my first show was in Atlanta. That should have never been. And that's because they wrote me on the internet and asked me to perform. LA, we got more diversity, so I feel like it's more, they treat each other like they in competition more with each other. California people act more funny and they more in competition with each other. When I first landed in Atlanta, it's just that Southern hospitality you can't get nowhere else. And they're more like, hey, like, they're not afraid to compliment you. They were telling me, oh, okay, I can help you with this. Out here in LA, you don't get that. It's both. Because in modeling, it's blacks against like whites. And most of the like the music video directors is white behind all these black rappers videos. And I used to show up on set and it will only be like 5 of us amongst all white girls, and they will only choose like one black girl. And so like the rest will have to leave. And like it will literally be like 30 girls on set, most of them white girls, and then that it would be like 4 or 5 black girls, and like they'll only choose like one black girl. I seen it too many times. I seen it too many times. It's the number one thing. I feel like that most people don't have originality, and most people that is so-called charting and a lot of people call themselves fans of is not original, and they not writing their stuff, and half the songs is stolen or just handed to them. And a lot of people's not living what they're rapping about. That's what I feel about ghostwriting, that the songs are giving it to people. They're not living what they're rapping about. And the ghostwriters is not even getting credit for what they doing and writing the songs. And half the songs is stolen. My philosophy is, definitely keep God first and get to know yourself before you start trying to go out in the streets and chase other people and meet other people. If that makes sense, like get into your spiritual, because it is a higher power, which is God, because some people are too busy living their life and not taking the time out to pray. But definitely, I have no other philosophy besides keep God first.